You've probably never seen an Indomie factory. You've probably never seen an Indomie CEO on CNBC. And yet, this single product quietly feeds hundreds of millions of people every single week. In Nigeria alone, more than 4.5 billion packs of Indomie are eaten every year. That's over 12 million packs a day in one country. Here's the surprising part. Indomie isn't Nigerian. It didn't start in Africa, and it wasn't designed for this market at all. So how did a Southeast Asian noodle brand enter West Africa, beat global food giants, and become so embedded in daily life that Nigerians now see it as their own? This is the story of how Indomie built one of the most underestimated business empires in the world, setting the scale. Indomie is sold in over 90 countries. Its parent company, Indofood CBP, has a market cap of approximately $6 billion, making it one of Asia's largest food manufacturers. Indofood doesn't just sell noodles. It controls flour milling, palm oil production, seasoning plants, packaging, logistics, and distribution. Vertical integration at continental scale. But the most impressive part of the Indomie story isn't Asia. It's Africa, specifically Nigeria. It's 237 million people. Nigeria is now Indomie's largest market outside Indonesia and the country that turned instant noodles into a cultural staple. Origins in Indonesia. The story begins in Indonesia in the early 1970s. At the time, Indonesia was facing rapid urbanization, population growth, and food security pressure. People needed meals that were cheap, fast, filling, and consistent. In 1972, Indofood launched Indomie, short for Indonesian me. Backed by the powerful Salim Group, the brand scaled quickly across Indonesia. But the real breakthrough came a decade later. In 1982, Indomie introduced mie goreng, a dry noodle inspired by Indonesian street food. No soup, more oil, soy sauce, rich seasoning packets. It felt indulgent, and sales exploded. With Indonesia secured, Indofood looked outward, entering Africa. By 1988, Indomie reached West Africa through the Talarum Group, a Singapore-based company that saw opportunity where others saw risk. Nigeria at that time had a GDP of just $23 billion, with 78% of the population living in poverty under military rule. The noodle market didn't exist. Noodles were seen as Asian food served only at Chinese restaurants. But Tolaram's founders, the Vaswani family, bet that Nigeria's rapidly urbanizing population would embrace affordable, convenient meals. At first, it was just another imported product, sitting quietly on supermarket shelves. Students adopted it. Low-income workers relied on it. Demand didn't spike, it compounded. Then, in 1995, Tolaram made a decision that changed everything. The critical strategic move. They stopped exporting noodles and started manufacturing locally. Talarum, in partnership with Indofood's Salim Group, set up the first Nigerian factory under a local subsidiary, Dufil Prima Foods, in Ota, Ogun State. The first instant noodles manufacturing plant in Nigeria and the largest in Africa at that time. This unlocked 4 massive advantages: no import tariffs, lower costs, faster supply, and total control over adaptation. Most foreign brands try to sell into Africa. Indomie chose to build in Africa, and that meant listening to Nigerian consumers. Localization and competitive advantage. Nigerian customers wanted stronger spices, bolder flavors, and textures closer to local dishes. So Indomie changed the product. They introduced flavors like onion chicken, pepper chicken, and jollof-inspired blends. They didn't market it as a snack. They positioned it as a full meal. This is where many global brands failed. When Nestlé's Maggi, already a household name across Africa for seasoning cubes, tried to enter Nigeria's noodle market, they protected their original formula. Dangote, one of Africa's largest conglomerates, launched Dangote Noodles in the mid-2000s with massive capital and distribution muscle. Honeywell, a respected Nigerian brand, entered with competitive pricing and local credibility. But Indomie had already done something none of them replicated. They sacrificed standardization for cultural relevance. By 2006, Indomie held 100% of the market. By 2017, despite 16 competing brands, Indomie still commanded over 70% market share. And when competitors like Dangote and Maimi threatened that dominance, Dufil simply acquired them in 2017 and 2018. Distribution as a weapon. Then came the real moat, distribution. Indomie built one of the most extensive food logistics networks in West Africa. Not just supermarkets, but kiosks, street vendors, roadside stalls, and rural towns. Tolaram even acquired local trucking companies to ensure supply reached every corner of the country. Availability wasn't a result of success. It was the strategy itself. If you were hungry, Indomie was always closer than the alternatives. If you're enjoying this breakdown of how everyday products quietly dominate global markets, subscribe to the channel. We analyze the strategies most business textbooks ignore. Branding from childhood. Indomie didn't rely on premium branding. They relied on early loyalty. Dufil targeted schools, students, and young families. They sponsored events, ran competitions, built habits early. For millions of Nigerians, Indomie was the first meal they ever cooked themselves. That's not branding. That's imprinting. As those children grew up, the brand grew with them, without changing its price positioning. Affordable, reliable, always there. By the 2000s, Indomie wasn't one product. It was an ecosystem, multiple flavors, multiple pack sizes, mini-me packs for school lunches and low-income households. Every income level was covered, every consumption moment addressed. Vertical integration masterclass. Behind the scenes, Dufil doubled down on vertical integration. They built their own seasoning plants, packaging facilities, and flour mills. In a country with unstable infrastructure, controlling your supply chain meant supply certainty and cost control. Indomie wasn't just selling food anymore, it was becoming a domestic manufacturing giant. Today, Dufil operates 15 manufacturing plants across Nigeria with hundreds of production lines, producing 8 million packets daily. Results and market dominance. By 2020, Nigeria became the 11th largest instant noodle consumer globally, with 1.92 billion servings consumed annually according to the World Instant Noodles Association. Indomie controlled over 70% of the market, even after fierce competition from brands backed by billions. In 2024, Dufil reported revenues of 810 billion naira. It's over $500 million, with market share now above 60%. But the real win wasn't market share. Cultural ownership. Indomie is no longer seen as Indonesian. It's Nigerian. Students eat it daily. Families stretch it with eggs and vegetables. Street vendors serve it with pepper sauce and meat. Many Nigerians have no idea the brand originated in Indonesia. Some genuinely believe it was created in Nigeria. When a brand becomes the generic term for an entire product category, like Xerox or Kleenex, you've achieved the highest level of success. The big lesson. Indomie's story isn't about noodles. It's about commitment. They didn't chase fast growth. They chased permanence, which meant accepting razor-thin margins for decades. They localized deeply and built infrastructure, priced for reality, not aspiration. And when competitors emerged, they either outcompeted them or acquired them. Most companies want to enter emerging markets. Indomie chose to become part of them. This strategy, everyday pricing, extreme distribution, vertical integration, and cultural embedding, is one of the most powerful business blueprints in the modern world. Yet almost no one studies it. If you want more deep dives into hidden global business empires, like the video, share it, and subscribe, because the biggest companies aren't always the loudest ones. Thank you for watching. I'll see you in the next video.